Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the USA Ultimate Division I College Championships is presented by Breakmark. Visit them on the web at breakmark.com.
The USA Ultimate Division I College Championships, where dynasties are built, legends are written, and legacies secured. Over 500 teams began this journey, but there will be only 2 left standing as champions.
Good morning and welcome to a rainy and gloomy Madison, Wisconsin Redden Soccer Park, the site of pre-quarterfinals. We've been battling weather delays and all kinds of challenges all weekends long, but we have reached elimination competition. The matchup before us right now, Oregon Ego, the second place finisher out of men's Pool B, facing off against Pittsburgh and Sabanur, the third place finisher out of men's Pool C. And how come that not a lot of people predicted Ian Toner alongside Kelsey Percy? Kelsey, as we look at this bracket, there are all kinds of tantalizing matchups, but it's been a winding road for Pittsburgh to make its way to this game.
It has. Pittsburgh has had some close ones. Honestly, both of these teams have had some really fierce competition on their road here. Pittsburgh started off really cruising, easy win, 15-6 over California. Tight game, and that's been kind of the theme for this Pittsburgh team. 14-15 loss to UMass, 13-14 loss to Minnesota, and that one got some press. Big skying score by Minnesota to end it out. Both teams feeling that calls really went the other way. So some tough wins, but here they are. Another interesting wrinkle to this game. They haven't seen either of these teams that have not played. This will be the first time that they see each other this year. There's film available, but it's not the same, and that featured into both coaches as they were talking about their plans for this game.
Yeah, the last sanctioned meeting between these programs came in the 2019 College Championships. But if we want to be zeroing in on the matchups that we want to watch, Oregon is going to have to get a lot of production from Micah Glass.
Oh, Micah Glass has been an absolute powerhouse. Look at that, 16 assists. He's been all over the place. He's got creative throws, arguably some of the best in this tournament. Definitely in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. And he's a sophomore. Rookie of the Year last year, and you can see why.
Pittsburgh, Scott Heyman, one of the statistical leaders on a team that is dotted with other stars, including Tristan Yarder and Henry Eng, but Heyman's been putting up the numbers this weekend.
Heyman's been putting the numbers, and the fascinating thing, you'd think from that assist line that Heyman was a handle. He's not. He's an incredibly talented, speedy receiver, and one of the things you're seeing is that he's getting all these short field opportunities where he's way ahead of the defense and is executing on these really short field tosses into the end zone. He's a powerhouse and someone that they can cross over defensively when they need a big play.
So Oregon starts the game on defense, pulling in the black jerseys from left to right. Pittsburgh attacking from right to left across your screen. In the white jerseys, there's Tristan Yarder with the disc. Mitch Dangler clarifying a call.
Yarder will be carrying some extra load for this Pittsburgh team. Micah Davis, a standout freshman handle for this Pittsburgh team, is out.
Nice grab there to save possession by Peter Kotz. Yarder steps into a backhand. Pittsburgh legging it out, and there is the opening score. Scott Heyman making his presence known on the opening point of the game for Pittsburgh.
Heyman just exploding, and you see the acceleration, you see the high speed, but even more so, you're also seeing the 1-2 punch, because that big backhand from Yarder was something that Ego doesn't want to give up.
Tristan Yarder, one of the leaders of this program, graduate of Columbia High School, the birthplace of Ultimate, and previous seasons we'd seen him be a bigger presence on the defense, and he's become a much bigger offensive contributor and part of that rotation here in this 2023-24 season.
It's a bigger presence. He's already pretty big to begin with. Huge frame, big shoulders. And one of the things, sometimes on these really tall players, you'll see a little bit of this. For example, on last night's stream with Minnesota, you get that height at the expense of muscular physique. Heyman, on the other hand, able to body in the air and win a lot of those matchups.
Henry Ng, another one of those guys who
Good
doesn't
Lord.
sacrifice any muscle, packing on that frame. Tristan Yarder pulling double duty and sending the backhand pull.
So one of the things to consider, and this might be the strategy of Pittsburgh, we've got storms coming. We know that's happening. It's important for teams to strike early, strike hard, and get out in front of the score.
Yeah, normally we would be playing this pre-quarterfinal round on the last round on Saturday, but if you haven't been paying close attention to this tournament, we were only able to complete 2 rounds of pool play on Friday due to lightning delays. Then we got 5 rounds squeezed in yesterday. Hats off to everyone at USA Ultimate and all of the organizers behind the scenes to make that possible. And there is an easy conclusion to that 0 point for Oregon Ego. The goal scored there by number 26, Raekwon Atkins. Already a star on the pro scene and contributing massively here at the college level.
Yeah, Raekwon adding to his stat total up to yesterday. Already had 6 goals with an assist. So a productive part of, I'd say, key contributor and production to this Oregon Ego. Particularly talked to Coach Dylan Freechild this morning. He said this Oregon Ego offense is one of the best he's seen. And he's seen quite a few.
That's high praise for the former Callahan winner who had finals and semifinals appearances with Oregon Ego in his time as a player with the program. Of course, Freechild not the only Callahan winner in the program's history. Ben Wiggins won in 2003. Eli Friedman won in 2010.
Storied program.
And Oregon trying to capture its 2nd title in program history. The only time they reached that mountaintop back in 1992. The wet pre-quarterfinal round continues, and the moisture making its presence known there as Pittsburgh drops the pull.
I asked coaches of both Oregon and Pittsburgh, were their players going to wear gloves? How were they planning for this rain? There you're seeing one of the impacts.
Short field here for Oregon Ego, and after one dropped pull, one misfired throw just completely slips out of the hands of Adam Wolkin. Pittsburgh getting the disc back. The team's trading gifts. Tristan Yarder at midfield, sending Henry Ng to the end zone, and he's got that past Keali McCarter.
Big snatch from Ng, and you see again that big body. He takes up so much space. It's so hard to get in, find an inside lane on him, because you have to get around the breadth of shoulders of Henry Ng.
So here's another look. You feel for William McGlynn there. You could see him going through his progression, just moving on from catching the disc to thinking about that centering pass a little too quickly. I can say we've all been there. I've dropped a pull in my career.
I've dropped him and turfed him. It's a dubious distinction.
So you turfed the centering pass?
Yes, absolutely. Thankfully in leagues. Haven't done it at high-level tournaments. But Lord.
Not a lot of...
You carry it with you either way. Yeah, McGlynn had that in the breadbasket, but just the transition not there. Players are going to have to be thinking a little bit more. And it's interesting. Typically, it's the other team that's trying to force that switch, that mindset of thinking about what you're doing. The weather instead almost being the third antagonist here that players are going to have to work around.
So again, we will play through these rainy conditions. The challenge is when any lightning strikes are detected within 10 miles of the field complex. USAU policy mandating that play stops and everyone at the complex seek shelter. So if you happen to hear 3 horns in the background, we'll let you know, but that will be the signal to pause play. We are expecting severe weather to continue rolling through the area all morning and frankly all day, but hope to complete as much competition as possible. Raekwon Atkins with the disc now for Oregon Ego. The winner of this pre-quarterfinal matchup advancing to a quarterfinal matchup against the 3-time defending champion, North Carolina Darkside, who look a little more mortal this year relative to seasons past.
And this Pittsburgh team is part of that glimpse of mortality.
One of the few teams to beat Darkside in this regular season. And there's the score for Oregon Ego's Marcus Beadler. We have yet to see any breaks through the first 4 points.
Marcus Beadler has been, from Oregon's perspective, maybe one of the most improved so far this season. Already with 6, now 7 goals for this tournament. Just growing in confidence with every game, and someone that Dylan Freechild was really excited about just for the future of this program.
Another look at that sequence. Beadler catching the disc near midfield. Continuing up the line to his teammate, Aaron Kaplan. And great attack there from Beadler. Bold choice by Beadler to not wear any gloves as well. I was one of those guys who loved to wear gloves, and even chalk when it was dry out but super humid.
Yes.
I wanted that extra bit of security, but you're seeing Aiden Landis, Tristan Yarder, so many other guys just saying, hey, I need that tactile feedback.
Maybe they've got that Spider-Man going. I think they've got the extra grip.
Yarder finds Heyman. I beg your pardon. Yarder finds Aiden Landis. Back to William McGlynn. Henry Ing gets the next under. Tough assignment there for Keali McCarter. Deep shot here from Landis, and you could see that one just slipped out of his fingers. And Oregon Ego with another chance to break. What pressure there. Landis almost got the disc back, but the second effort grab saving possession for Ego, and they're in the red zone. Up the line, Oregon Ego has the first break thanks to the grab of Ben Horisberger.
Huge effort here, big energy from Oregon. We talked about how these teams need to get out in front. One of the things also interesting, Pittsburgh, we teased a little bit that loss of Micah Davis, playing a lot of H-Stack very successfully against other teams. And a couple of these losses, UMass, for example, once Davis is out, they go vert, they get into a little bit of trouble, they're not as productive, it's easier to defend, especially on a team like Oregon that likes to go force middle.
Good focus there by Gabe Nobis. Didn't matter that Landis laid out and macked the disc. He was there to follow the path. And Horisberger, who was playing some heads-up defense in the deep space, able to attack on the turnover. And you see Nick Kazmarek, the 2-time national champion coach, imploring his team to stay focused. Dylan Freechild giving instruction to his group as well. Here's a look at the regular season results.
28 is fucking cooking everywhere, and they don't want to throw it too long. Okay, so don't let him slip deep. We can be a little bit tighter, Nick, right, and still pressure those unders, but he got looked off like 3 times. Okay?
Here's Pittsburgh's path to nationals. A semifinalist at Easterns. Also finishing 4th at Smoky Mountain Invite.
Yeah, wins over Minnesota. Familiar loss to Georgia. Both these teams have played closely with Georgia. I think an indicator of the strength of both these programs. Georgia, the 2 seed here, and has very comfortably just taken on all challengers here at this Nationals.
Yeah, Oregon lost 15-13 in pool play to Georgia.
You did see on your screen briefly there, number 28 for Pittsburgh. That's Roger Fang, described as a finisher for this Pittsburgh team, someone who's just deadly in the red zone, and someone that Oregon, it sounds like, is going to be trying to neutralize a little bit more.
So the pull lands just past midfield, stays in bounds. Tristan Yarder picking up on the sideline, gets it off immediately to William McGlynn. Great adaptive mark there. Look at the foot movement there from Gabe Nobis. Henry Ing adjusts to save possession, and a low shot to the end zone. Too much on that one for Roger Zing to chase it down.
Yeah, just a bullet from Ing. Zing had steps, but you need some touch on this, and I'm wondering if that's the no glove water coming into play. Rain still coming down.
Keali McCarter gets the underneath. Off the line there to Gabe Nobis. Julian Sant up to Aaron Kaplan. Horisberger. Up line to Nobis. And a call stops play. So look at Michael Ing supporting his alma mater on the sidelines.
Really good pressure right now from Pitt.
Oregon Ego struggling to get this disc off the sideline, and there's the pivotal movement. Disc in the hands of Kaplan now. Red zone grab by Keali McCarter. Continuation, and it's snagged in the end zone by Mason Waybright, and Oregon has the second break of the game.
Floated up there from Mason Waybright. Bit of a chance for the defense, but he pulls it in. Dylan Freetrial described Mason Waybright as the heart and soul of this Oregon team. Said he might not be much to look at, but he always gets it done, and he's going to take some of the toughest defensive matchups. But you see also the ability to execute on this offensive line. So someone they can cross over. Waybright, you may also have heard that name before. Sibling in Trout Waybright over for the women's team.
Another look at the patience here from Keali McCarter. Resetting the disc to Ben Horisberger. And continuing into the end zone for Mason Waybright. If you're just waking up and turning things on, thanks so much for joining us. Ian Toner alongside Kelsey Percy. Got our entire Ulti-World crew bringing you live coverage from the 2024 D1 College Championships. You've got Callahan winner and World Games champion Dylan Freechild giving instruction to Oregon Ego. They've got the early 2-break lead here on Pittsburgh in a pre-quarterfinal matchup in the men's division. Of course, this round normally would be played at the end of the day Saturday, but lightning delays on Friday, compressing and pushing the schedule back. And the winner of this pre-quarterfinal advances to a quarterfinal against North Carolina Dark Side. Landis up to Yarder. Yarder through the contact, hangs the backhand. Henry Ing versus Keali McCarter. Henry Ing with two hands.
Ing had the steps. Ing had the position. Now Ing has the disc.
And we appear to be having a discussion back at the point of release.
I mean, you want to know what the rules are in terms of...
Like he just called foul, so that cut back.
Well, if it's a throwing foul, then catching it makes a. If it's caught, it's a play on. If it's not a throwing foul, then it depends.
Well, it was a thing. If you caught it.
Cool.
So
Tristan.
it looks like Beckett Sessoms was curious about the timing of his foul call impacting the outcome of that play, but Mitch Dangler providing clarification on how exactly a throwing foul does or does not stop play or bring the disc back.
There's a turn, it comes back. As it is, advantage, play stays.
So Tristan Yarder, one of the leaders for this Pittsburgh squad, with 3 assists already in today's contest.
Yeah, Yarder, watch the positioning. He's so dangerous on both sides of the disc, but really perfection on these backhands. He's been queuing up deep shots all game long, even in these adverse conditions, and he's got some really gorgeous targets in Henry Ing and Scott Haber.
I want to see that battle, Ing versus McCarter, all game long. I could take 10 more rounds of that one.
Yeah, that's a fun. Interestingly enough for Ing, who's used to having the big stature, I think McCarter's got him on height, but McCarter's going to have to body through Ing, and good luck with that.
Side stack here from Ego to start. Micah Glass's initiation cut, not quite working. Some poaches and soft marks from Pittsburgh nullifying that, but now Glass goes deep. Got the disc in the red zone, pivoting through the contact. And we'll have to have everyone reset their positioning to the point of the foul call.
Marcus Beadler just a little too eager to rack up another score there. Love that release from Micah Glass downfield, though. And now they've got their most dangerous thrower with all the end zone space he can want.
Glass on the goal line. Around, and the grab is made there by Aaron Kaplan. Glass had to fight for it, but we've got a call.
A defensive check. Yes. And even if it's an offensive check, the offense has to check with the defense. Are y'all ready? Play never restarted. So where you were on the restart.
Yeah, it seems like multiple players are out of position. It appears that once again, Micah Glass needed to restart that with a defensive check, but he keeps doing a ground check. So play never technically restarted. All of these players were not in the end zone at the point of the foul call. But we're going to play on. Kaplan's still fighting to get open, and he still scores.
This is why we do double score, right?
Exactly.
You score again, you get that consistency. You have to be able to execute at this level. Bit anticlimactic, maybe, after the first rush, stoppage after stoppage. We did talk a little bit on Field Pass yesterday of just the kind of irony of when there's stoppages, another look at the shot to Glass. Love Glass just releasing deep. And the patience, too, for Kaplan. You see that on the first look, the multiple attempts, and then on the second. Squirreliness from Kaplan in the end zone. But on stoppages, defensive positioning, almost more so. And you do have offensive players that will change their footing, get ready to make their cut. But inevitably, you'll see defenders who all of a sudden are on the right side of the player or positioned the correct way or have orbited around. And it's mildly annoying. I get why people do it, and universally pretty much everyone does it.
Dylan Freechild imploring his defense to apply flat marks as Oregon Eagles' Adam Wolkin pulls the disc. Rain continuing to fall here at Redden Soccer Park in Verona, Wisconsin, but no lightning within 10 miles yet, so competition continuing. Risky swing there from Yarder, but Kotz makes the grab, and Ing gets the next under.
Ing on the field for, I believe, the 5th point in a row.
It's a question for Pittsburgh and for every team. How much mileage can these starters endure before fatigue starts to become a factor.
Especially on a day where you're going to see more play than usual.
Competition format forcing teams into new schedules. Again, this round normally would have been played last round on Saturday, but it's happening Sunday morning. William McGlynn being marked by Oregon's Adam Wolkin. Yeah, I don't understand why that wasn't just an immediate no contest, because he was
Contact
well
versus
within disc space and initiating contact, but we're back in live action now. So Tristan Yarder finds Henry Ing.
And you've seen Yarder on the big backhands, but there you see the danger of the flick. Just as precise, able to break around. Scott Heyman with the big finish there. Second score for the game.
I mean, it's not a surprise to those who've been following this Pittsburgh team all season long, but Tristan Yarder's a problem. That's assist number 4 here in the first half. The handler involved in every single Sabanur score so far.
I mean, look at that first break that went around to Ing. Full step out, almost ankle release. And I love just the aggressive, insistent attack up the field. That he's not going backward for these resets. He's beating his defense to these upline spaces consistently. And his team knows he's going there. They know he's going there. The defense know he's going there, and he's still winning them. This Oregon team also faced a similar problem in Adam Miller earlier against UGA. Adam Miller, arguably even more productive, you would say, than Yarder.
I'm sure Tristan would have
Words
other thoughts about that.
Words?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say stat lines. Okay, we'll give some equality then. Equally a problem. Equally someone you have to plan for. Oregon's plan there, just push him out of the backfield. Are they going to try a little bit of that? Yarder looking extremely comfortable.
Something to keep an eye on in the coming Pittsburgh O possessions, and there is a block courtesy of Pittsburgh's Brendan Gasper. Break opportunity here for Sabanur. They have yet to convert one in this game.
Max Massey lasered that shot. And I think that's almost the case of the cut already being too deep if you're having to muscle it that much.
Especially in these rainy conditions when the disc is a little wet and it can slip on your release.
It's not a good look.
So Oregon Ego, the defender, number 34, Adam McNichols, had called a foul, but Mitch Dangler ruling no foul, so the disc stays with Pittsburgh's Henry Ing. Ing trying to find Yarder and get the disc back to that dominant distributor. Here he is. The hammer. A wolf pack forming underneath, and Henry Ing makes the clap catch through the traffic. How did that fall in there?
I saw that throw go up. More of a blade even than a hammer. Ing really doesn't have beautiful positioning. He's a bit over his skates almost, but still coming down the focus and intentionality. Wow, Henry Ing, and you see the huge energy spike coming up from Pittsburgh. Wolfpack howl.
I mean, that felt like shades of Big Boy Ultimate. Florida throwing it up to Brody or Cole or Chris Gibson or Kurt Gibson, no matter what. Just eyes on one receiver and throwing it up and hoping for the best.
We saw with UMass in Minnesota last night, Dylan Tennell on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's your big boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at that. Don't like your options. But how do you get in front of Ing when Ing wants to be in a space?
If you had any question about the energy, the passion, how much this competition means, just take a look at that celebration there, and Ng and Yarder staying out there for more.
Ng is pumped. They are in the hunt. They want to break back.
Oregon still up a break here in the first half of this pre-quarterfinal matchup. Ian Toner with Kelsey Percy, privileged to have live coverage here on UltiWorld for you at the 2024 USA Ultimate D1 College Championships. So far, this one living up to the billing. Micah Glass with the disc for Oregon. Moving the mark. Getting the disc downfield to Adam McNichols, and Glass gets it back, swings it once again. Here's Kaplan. Up to Glass. Oregon patiently working the disc up the field. Nice inside flick to McNichols.
Oregon keeps finding these really deep cross-field looks that's opening up the field.
Kaplan up the line. McNichols breaks the mark. And Oregon retakes the lead.
That point was all Kaplan. Kaplan really opened things up with that cross-field look, but then uses the foot speed and legs, attacks the end zone, beats the defender there. A little bit of fatigue maybe from this Pittsburgh team. So tough to respond, but you see the smoothness there, the systems of this Oregon offense.
Yarder and Ng going out there for yet another point. But Kaplan, the goal scorer so far, with 2 goals and 1 assist in this contest.
Yeah, we're only one half in. Kaplan showing effectiveness, danger not just in the throws. Again, talking about how, watch this cross field. That's a really acute angle getting all the way across.
Through the hockey assist for his own goal.
Yes, through the hockey assist. And then the legs to finish. Pittsburgh's going to have to find an adjustment. You can't just focus on Glass. You've also got to take, that's the depth of these teams.
That's a great point.
Hilariously, Oregon saying, Dylan Freechild saying, not as deep an Oregon team as they're used to. What are you talking about, Dylan? This is a great amount of depth.
Well, Oregon's first 6 scores have been scored by 4 different players. So
I love that distribution.
I'd say that's proof positive of a well-balanced, distributed attack.
Good distribution of their assists, too. Raekwon Adams, Nichols, Horsberger, and Kaplan all getting touches there.
Incredible footwork there by Aiden Landis to keep the disc in bounds. Gets it off the line to Yarder, who, as you pointed out, has not come off the field with Henry Ng. Deep shot going up to Ng. It's a little lower than they would have wanted, but it didn't matter. Ng on the goal line. Flips it to Aiden Landis, who hops in, and Pittsburgh answers right away.
We haven't talked about Landis much so far this game. Landis, also someone who can lengthen the field with shots, but with the productivity of Yarder and Kaplan, hasn't had to yet this game. But this is a hype Pittsburgh team. They're in the zone, they're clicking, they're playing pretty loose, and that's a good thing for both of these teams.
Ng thought he had hopped in initially, but
darn, gets the assist instead.
Yeah. He's just happy they ended up scoring the point no matter what, and Aiden Landis will stay out there. And I don't believe my eyes. It looks like Henry Ng and Tristan Yarder are actually taking this point off.
So we're 6-6. Maybe that's a rest and then a push to half.
That's exactly what I'm thinking as well. You look at the Oregon line here. Adam Wolkin, McNichols, Micah Glass, Max Massey, Aaron Kaplan.
But this is a great opportunity for Pitt's defense to air out some of their younger less experienced players, get them these national reps. You want to be able to trust your depth and use them.
Micah Glass hanging a deep one. It's a battle, but Raquan Atkins maintains position. Ego in the red zone. Flip to McNichols. Massey. Kaplan's wide open. Continues to Glass. Ego with the 7-6 lead. If they can break here, they could take half.
Egan just looking so smooth. I love that they had so many different players touching the disc there. They're not just going through every other on Glass. Glass, they're able to punch in the score because they actually cycled him out of the handle set.
And you've been keying in on that. You noticed him isolating downfield earlier. You liked the way he released deep. You think that's a recipe for success for this offense?
So one of the things is when you can get these pure handles and make them more in that hybrid role, they threaten both ways. And then if they're able to, you see that D3, Will Brandt, classic example. He's so comfortable in the downfield, but then
Mr.
has
Top 10 himself.
all the throws in the world, and the creativity, the around looks, the scoopers, and just anything that Glass can do. He can hit any space. And when you're giving him that short field to work with, you score that much faster. And it's just these body blows to the other team. Because the defense doesn't even feel like they exerted pressure. They just got cut through.
So we'd expect to see the studs on the field for the remainder of this half, no matter how many more points it goes. As Glass pulls for Ego. William McGlynn fielding the pull for Insabanur and centering to Tristan Yarder deep in his own end zone. The side stack clears out. Moves into a center stack. Yarder surveying his options. Landis coming underneath. Great pressure there. Oregon's Gabe Nobis going to the turf and appears to be grabbing his hamstring. Something you never want to see.
Yeah, I'm going to hope that's just some tightness and not a pull, but a lot of frustration there. That's hard to come back from, and this is the worst timing.
I mean, you heard him audibly express discomfort as he was chasing Landis on that underneath cut. And such a big part of this Ego team and leadership, such a big part of rebuilding the culture after this group didn't qualify for nationals in a recent season, and you hope it's just a cramp.
I'm hoping.
You hope it's something that he can come back from soon.
This Oregon team so far has made it through the tournament relatively unscathed by injuries.
Landis in trouble now, and there's the block. Isaac Kaplan subs on for the injury substitution and immediately disrupts the next throw. Flip into the end zone, grabbed by Ben Horisberger, but we have a call from Micah Glass. I beg your pardon, from Will McGlynn. Micah Glass doesn't love it. William McGlynn did make a travel call. I think he was acknowledging that Glass didn't set his pivot foot at the appropriate spot, and McGlynn, the look on his face said, yeah, that might have been a ticky-tack call on my part, but I'm still gonna make it. Again, a little bit of inference on my part there.
A little bit of a welcome to quarters. Let's play clean or not at all. But also where every point counts.
Glass with the disc going cross field. There's the most dangerous thrower on the field for Oregon, finding Kaplan at the opposite corner. How many times has Kaplan double scored today?
Kaplan just tearing it up, and you saw just the little kiss salute to the crowd. Kaplan unmatched right now on the field, and Glass with the vision and the precision. Again, wet disc, people. Wet disc. And you saw the edge as it crossed the field. That was gorgeous.
Oregon Ego with a multi-break lead here in the pre-quarterfinals. You get another look at Kaplan earning the block on Landis's high stall, high release, and then running to space in the back corner. Micah Glass with the beautiful read.
See the shape on that throw. Tucks it in. Kaplan doesn't even have to toe it. Perfectly in stride.
Kaplan with 3 goals and 2 assists here in the opening half of quarterfinal competition. Dylan Freechild popping the headset on the sidelines. Dylan, first thing I got to ask you, what is it like to be coaching in this setting after you've been such a key contributor to this program over the years, made it to the semifinals and finals, and this group fighting for its life here in the pre-quarters?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a total privilege to be, continued part of this program. I think there's, great success here, and we're just really proud about, the culture we play with and the product we put on the field, and watching these kids grow is the reason I keep wanting to come back, and it's something that Jay instilled in me and our program and my team when I was back there. So, yeah, it's just a great honor to be able to give back.
Dylan, you talked about some of the really challenging throwers you've already gone up against, and Adam Miller, seeing a similar show here from Yarders. How are you feeling about your defensive pressure? Any adjustments you think you're going to be making going into the second half, trying to take away Yarder?
Yeah, I mean, I think we feel pretty good. They're 1 for 3 on Hucks, I think, not to a guy named Henry. So we're going to keep taking those. Henry's going to get his. We'd like to put a little bit more pressure on him, but I think actually the backfield pressure is fine. We just got that turn in the backfield there. They really like to flush their handlers when we sag in the lane. So I'm just telling my boys to be a little bit tighter, not get too lazy out in what I like to call Losersville, and just make sure that you are, shoulder to hip, and you're stacked up with them when they try to make those upline cuts.
Are you at all surprised by the performance of Aaron Kaplan and how big he's been so far in this first half?
Not at all. Aaron is a trooper. He's a fighter, and he's an incredibly skilled individual. And I know he tried out for Revolver 2 years ago, I think, and Bruce, an old Rhino teammate, texted me about him, and I was really surprised that they were looking to take him to even the next round, because as a freshman I wasn't so sure, and he's already just blossomed into something incredible, and it was just like a no-brainer to have him be a part of Rhino, and he's clearly a top 10, top 15 dude at this tournament.
Can't wait to see what else he can produce. Dylan, thanks so much for your time, and excited to see what you and Ego can do in the second half.
Appreciate it, John.
Dylan Freechild, the Callahan winner from Oregon Ego, coaching his team here through the pre-quarterfinal round. Oregon Ego with an 8-6 lead on Pittsburgh and Sabanur. The winner gets the privilege of facing off against North Carolina Darkside. What will Pittsburgh have in store in the second half? What will Micah Glass and Oregon Ego have in store in the second half? Keep it right here on Ulti World.
And a different challenge. We keep talking about how this tournament is a puzzle, and Oregon's definitely a puzzle for us. We haven't played them in a long time, and they play a very different style than who we've seen so far. So for us, it's just like another fun challenge and another puzzle that we want to win.
Love that. You've definitely had standout performances all the way down your roster. One of the things that you highlighted was that you had so much depth on this team. How are you feeling about the performances of your maybe lesser-known players so far?
Actually, really, really good. I think these are the games that really show like what we've come to be. And throughout the season, like, people have stand-up performances, and the goal is for nationals to everybody to be their personal best. And we have talked about how we can find our personal best and how we can help our teammates find their personal best. And that is all we're asking of players, is to bring what they can.
The counterpoint of that is that we saw Tristan Yarder and Henry Ing play nearly every point in that first half. Are we expecting more of the same here in the second half?
Those are two excellent players, and while we obviously have a whole roster of excellent players, like, if they're on and they're feeling good, then we're going to utilize them. We have to.
What's the key to getting this D-line of yours to operate just a tiny bit more efficiently and convert at a slightly higher rate in the second half?
I think it's just a matter of staying patient, staying calm. Our mental toughness has been really high all weekend, and if we can maintain that same calm while still having a sense of urgency to get the ball in the end zone, we'll be fine.
Christy, thanks so much for your time, and good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Christy Laurie, part of the decorated Pittsburgh and Sabanur coaching staff, along with the likes of Nick Kazmarek, Ben Morgenstern, Hensley Sejour, and Michael Sedini. And here's a look at Pittsburgh's heartbreaking double game point losses earlier in the tournament. Austin King going up with the spike and letting everyone know he did receive a yellow card for that celebration. And the other matchup against UMass, the higher seed in the pool, the higher seed in the tournament, also going to double game point. So Pittsburgh has had to battle adversity all game long. Those double game point losses precisely why they're here in this pre-quarterfinal matchup. The 3 finisher out of Pool C battling the 2 finisher out of Pool B. Micah Glass sending Aaron Kaplan to the end zone. Goodness gracious, Aaron Kaplan cannot be stopped, folks.
We talked about Scott Heyman on the other side of the speed, but you're seeing in Kaplan this answer, this response in speed. The acceleration through, almost the hesitation. I like that pause kind of boxed the defender, and then he just went full speed again. No contest. Defense can't make the play. Another goal for Kaplan.
Micah Glass with the picture-perfect dime on that one. And if you're the coaching staff from Pittsburgh, you hate seeing those relatively easy scores. And that was exactly what you were talking about, Kelsey, on that replay. Just the tiny bit of hesitation.
The hitch, yeah.
That maybe forces the defender to slow up just a tiny bit.
And then it's all him.
Just expert level receiving and deception from Kaplan.
So Oregon out to what might seem like a comfortable lead, but they've been trading shots all game with this Pittsburgh team. Pittsburgh knows that this one's for all the marbles. This is a must win. This is not pool play. This is bracket. You've got to put it down here. You can't leave anything in the tank if you're down.
Yeah, this is the big question for me. I know this is an O point here for Pittsburgh about to start, but what can Pittsburgh do to apply real pressure to Oregon's offense? Because we haven't seen a ton of discomfort among that Ego O-line. Deep shot going up to Henry Ing. Keali McCarter blocks that one.
And there was the matchup you wanted to see. McCarter with the height. They hung it up. Ing typically has the height in those matchups, can seal that in, but McCarter made a beautiful read, got in, tipped the disc, and now you're seeing these players for Pittsburgh having to play defense, but not when it values to them.
You look, Oregon a little more efficient on breaks, 3 of 8 compared to Pittsburgh, just 1 of 7. And fortunately for Pittsburgh, and Sabanur's O-line gets the ball back, but we do have a foul call. Ben Horisberger claiming that there was contact with, I believe, the side of his head. As you look at Sabanur's Peter Kotz,
So what are you calling? Okay, you're calling dangerous play. Hold on. Well, just stop. Yeah.
So Horisberger calls dangerous play. Peter Kotz with the run-through block. There was contact after the block was made. It looked like their feet got tangled up. I think Horisberger perhaps, and again, there's a lot of inference on my part here, saying he had to slow up.
Yeah, okay, so he came through to get the D. He was completely through the space, and just you got on just the tip of his foot as he come through. It's not an overly aggressive play, so it was a really not a foul. Wait, hold on. Where did the disc land? It's about where it landed. Are we good with that's where it? Okay. So closest defender, you're gonna touch the ground as the closest defender. So you're gonna. Okay,
how lucky are we to have
one of y'all
Mitch
touch the ground
Dangler
and
on the
defenders?
field to adjudicate these instances? One of the best observers in the game, and everyone benefiting from his talents as Tristan Yarder picks up the disc in the red zone for Sabanur. Here's Henry Ing. Off the line to Heyman. Ing to space. Heyman with the box out. Just when you thought Oregon might extend its lead further, Pittsburgh gets the ball back and the O-line responds.
So going into what I thought was saying Pittsburgh needed to keep this short. Again, another look at this gorgeous D.
Good awareness there from Peter Kotz. I don't think he was the defender assigned to Horrisberger after that turnover. And that's just, again,
big body to big body.
More big boy ultimate. We saw the prayer going up earlier. Let's just see if this hammer can find Henry Ing. And okay, let's just play two-man in small space. Box you out, body you out. Pittsburgh relying on that.
And I want to touch on the call by Horrisberger. I don't think it's a bad call. One of the things is that really scary feeling of coming out of your blind spot. He didn't see the defender coming. He didn't know it was there.
Sure.
He's going for the disc. It gets D'd, and all of a sudden he's on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's really hard at the moment to be able to think through what happened. And so I can understandable making that play, but I respect to Kotz for minimizing the contact as much as he did.
Just before the pull, you saw Oregon Eagle alum Trevor Smith giving instruction to the O-line. Massey pumps the deep shot and gets the difficult swing around to Atkins. Chandra Boyd-Flegel swinging over to Atkins. Massey at the pivot now. Kaplan comes underneath, getting a lot of cushion and respect. And Kaplan sending Glass. That is another perfect throw for the Oregon Eagle offense.
I love this hybrid action by Glass. You see the big head spec, the excitement. Most dangerous thrower on the field, attacking and being dangerous in the end zone. It's just an added layer of nuance and depth. I also love the threat of Kaplan in the deep space, the respect, and how that opens up for him on the underneath.
Micah Glass has been a multi-dimensional threat all season long, and he's living up to that reputation here in the pre-quarterfinals.
Yeah, you're seeing all these shots. The execution on throws we've already been raving about, and under a lot of pressure. But I'm more impressed by the work he's doing with his legs and how he's having to make defenders adjust and guard him in all these different spaces. Kaplan successfully threatening the deep space, but then also you see the dimension attacking with his throws. The reversal of these roles back and forth really leaves defenders on their back heels.
2 goals, 4 assists, and a block for the young standout from Oregon Eagle.
No turns. That's a really balanced game and strong performance from Micah Glass. We mentioned he's a sophomore, right? Sarcasm there, but
what else can he accomplish? His young career. We'll be excited to watch as Tristan Yarder gets things started for the Ensabanur offense. Ing comes underneath. Sending Scott Heyman, chased by Horrisberger, but goodness, that was an absolute dime from Henry Ing, and Pittsburgh refuses to quit.
We're just getting a full-on show. You heard it there from Dylan Freechild. They're going to let Henry Ing get his. But, man, he can... What is his?
Well, we'd seen a Huck turnover earlier in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Ing to still have the confidence to respond and execute in these conditions with that precision, big answer for Ensabanur.
And part of that's the matchup, too. Advantage matchup.
Heyman with the size advantage on Horrisberger.
Just getting the separation, pulling even more away there. Some of it is the ability to make the defense believe they can't get there.
Nick Kazmarek giving instruction to Pittsburgh's D-line. Trevor Smith giving instruction to Oregon's O-line.
One of the things to note there, too, Pittsburgh, lightning quick on that score. We've got these storms coming in. Time could be a factor. We don't know when it's going to hit us. So these quick scores, staying in, getting their defense back out there, that's really key to this second half.
Ian Toner and Kelsey Percy lucky to have live coverage of the pre-quarterfinal round here at the 2024 College National Championships. Oregon Ego has looked like a force to be reckoned with through the first 18 points of this contest. And there's a turnover off the sideline. Aaron Kaplan with the rare mistake. And Pittsburgh and Sabanur on the counterattack.
Reed Duncan dishing to Ing. Duncan threatened that lane. Really shook up the offensive flow there for a minute, and I think was part of the pressure that earned that D.
Will and Sabanur use a timeout here? They don't even need to, because Scott Heyman hops into the end zone. And just like that, Pittsburgh has its first break of the second half.
You say hop, I call that a reverse layout. He almost went horizontal, just trying to get his toes in. Almost a question there if the disc landed first. What an athletic feat from Heyman. This Pittsburgh team just showing out on all fronts. That's back-to-back scores for Heyman.
You know, I was getting ready to ask you, Kelsey, had we really seen this Oregon O-line look uncomfortable at any point in this game? And Sabanur got the disc on the sideline. They got Kaplan to a pressure point, and they made it really difficult for him to swing that disc off the line.
So one of the keys, I was talking to Alex Rubin last night prepping for this matchup, and a person that they highlighted for this Pittsburgh team was Reed Duncan. Said he did a lot of off-season work, added some muscle, bulked up. We've talked about the physicality of this Pittsburgh team, and that he was their monster D. He was going to be a difference maker. But you're seeing, again, the ability, the depth, and well-roundedness of this Pittsburgh team, and the counterattack finally feeling like they're clicking, executing, being patient.
So here's another
exciting.
look at that turnover from Oregon Ego. And there's the block there from Duncan. I beg your pardon, from Heyman.
Yeah, Heyman with the acceleration through the really tight mark. They're pressuring and making that a more challenging throw. But again, I think it was the sequence leading up to that of just effective team defense, really locking down and taking away the primary and secondary options, making Oregon having to think a little more.
Tristan Yarder getting set to pull. He's back out there with Aiden Landis, Henry Ing.
Fresh legs from Yarder.
And Scott Heyman. Oregon did use a timeout on that point, so they've just got one remaining. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has both timeouts remaining as that pull lands in bounds and pops out of bounds. So it'll be brought into play here by Massey. Wide open underneath to Chandra Boyd-Flegel. Here's McNichols. Micah Glass shooting to the end zone. Boyd-Flegel in a battle, and well defended there by Pittsburgh's Maury Averill.
Maury Averill making big plays. Not someone that we had highlighted, but again, talking to the depth of this Pittsburgh team. We've seen so much big performance by Yarders, by Heyman, by Ing, but you're seeing just that full range, the confidence, and now Pittsburgh on the counterattack.
Ing up to Duncan. Ing isolated, gets open on Glass, sending the shot to the end zone. Landis versus Adkins, but Adkins denies that one with emphasis.
What a huge D from Adkins. And now Adkins with the sure hands, leading this. Again, this would be a hold for Ego. But the pressure Pittsburgh able to bring to bear could be the difference maker here in the second half.
Boyd-Flegel off the line, and I believe we have a pick call. open on Another look there at the phenomenal block by Raekwon Adkins, going step for step and leap for leap with Aiden Landis.
Adkins has had a phenomenal tournament. Coming into this game, had 8 goals and an assist.
Goal and a block so far in this contest as we're back at live action. Kaplan up to Adkins. Adkins off the line, back to Kaplan, losing yardage but maintaining possession, and there's a big gainer to Marcus Beidler. Massey. Inside to McNichols.
Oregon's done such a good job of recognizing the openings cross-field and getting it to the middle of the field.
Ego also quick to work the disc off the sidelines and avoid those trap situations. Kaplan did throw 1 turnover in that situation earlier in this half. What a battle there at the front of the stack. Yarder versus Kaplan. This coming in at stall 6.
I'd give Kaplan the edge on foot speed, but Yarder's got the body. Kaplan's going to have to work through him.
Massey.
You're seeing again the strength of Kaplan's inside-out break. He just carves up the field with that.
Around to Boyd Flegel. Adkins with separation. Boyd Flegel. 5 yards outside the end zone. The continuation to Massey. Oregon Ego gets the well-earned dirty hold.
Dirty hold, but that's an absolute win for Oregon. I would also say a win for Pittsburgh. They put on so much pressure, but Oregon able to fight through using every single piece of their offense, functioning beautifully as a hold. I love that they cycled back and forth and back again across the field, not getting pinned.
Here's the first turnover of the point. Block there by Maury Averill, and then Raekwon Adkins defending Henry Ng's end zone shot. And that point feels like a backbreaker in some ways. It was longer than some of the other points. It had multiple turnovers. And you had Tristan Yarder and Henry Ng playing that point. And they're going right back out to the line after one of the longest points of this game. Sure, Raekwon Adkins is crossing over as well for Oregon Ego, but there's just so much mileage that's being added. And how quickly can they recover in order to operate at peak efficiency here late in the second half?
Well, and that Yarder was taking one of the toughest matchups in Kaplan.
Yep. It's a great point. McGlynn centering to Yarder.
McGlynn, after that first bobble, has been utterly consistent.
Landis to Ng. Ng thought about the big backhand, but chooses the safer reset to Landis. What a block there. Oregon Ego. Julian Sant launching himself through the air to give Ego the disc in the red zone.
Big opportunity here from Oregon. It almost feels like they could put this game away if they punch it in right here.
Horisberger gets the swing off. Wolken back to Horisberger.
Really good defensive switch there from Oregon.
The swing hanging. It's caught by Sant. He throws the assist, and Mason Waybright gives Oregon a 12-9 lead.
And is that where we see the payoff? We're seeing the crossovers, the fatigue. Is that part of what's causing those assists? The energy is so high now for Oregon, and we're seeing their depth really rise to the forefront in making these big plays.
It feels as though Oregon is using its depth and getting more contributions from the entirety of its roster. As you see that throw just behind Peter Kotz, enough of a window there for Julian Sant to get a hand on it. The easy finish there to Waybright.
I also want to highlight the clear from Atkins. He's there, he gets out, doesn't pull his defense in, opens up that lane, makes sure it's wide open for Waybright. Yeah, Oregon with all the energy out. You hear the voices on the sideline being raised. This is something that Oregon starts the game with. They are voices up all the way through their warm-ups, just really cheering each other on. And you see that mental toughness and that trust in each other starting from the very first second of the game.
So I may have misspoken earlier this half. I thought it was Oregon who took the first time out of the second half. But our graphics indicating now that it was Pittsburgh. So Sabinur with 1 timeout remaining and Oregon with 2. Deep shot to Ing. McCarter defending, but he never got a read on it. Henry Ing, the cheat code, bringing Sabinur back within 2.
Yeah, so the quick score from Pittsburgh, that's exactly what you want. Catch their breath, don't have to play D. Clean hold.
At this point, I don't think Henry Ing or Tristan Yarder are coming off the field the rest of the game.
Short game, I don't see it.
Henry Ing now with 4 goals and 4 assists. Scott Heyman with 5 goals and his first assist of the contest.
I'm impressed by the run there from Ing, but I'm even more impressed by the speed of his adjustment. He got eyes on the disc, immediately went horizontal, and was the only person able to make a play there.
Kazmarek gone to battle with this Oregon Ego program many times. More than a decade, though, it was Jay Jannon leading the Oregon squad, and now it's the likes of Dylan Freechild, Braden Petrus, Connor Matthews, Trevor Smith, and Chris Strub. Out of bounds pull will let Max Massey bring the ball into play at the brick mark. Get a look at other scores around the division. Colorado with a 12-8 lead in their men's pre-quarter final, and that swing hits the turf. Second turnover of the game for Kaplan. Nikki Troilo with the disc for Sabinur. Front of the stack, Henry Ing. Gainer up to Aiden Landis. Ing. Troilo. Back to Ing. Yarder with a 360. Doing everything he can to get open in that backfield, front of the stack space.
Christy Laurie talked about patience for this Pittsburgh counterattack. You're seeing it right now. They need
Troilo. Inside to Ing, but he drops it. He hit him right in the numbers. And Ing couldn't save possession. Raekwon Atkins going the other way. Aiden Landis gets that. I beg your pardon. Scott Heyman gets the block.
Atkins was streaking deep. As soon as he saw that Ing didn't catch it, was attacking the other direction. I love the recognition, but the adjustment, Heyman streaking, keeping it in play. Pittsburgh still has a shot.
Heyman to Landis. Deep shot, underthrown, and defended by Massey. Crossfield looking for Boyd Flegel. He's got the read on the goal line. The flip to Oregon Ego. Raekwon Atkins converts the dirty hold. That will be a point that Henry Ing will come to regret.
That was brutal. That was so tough. The heroic second effort from Heyman there and catching up on D. But the discipline up to that point, Ing wide open on the front line. But Oregon able to recover, punch it in, and this is where you don't see, I think, the tension of this game reflected in the score. Another look. Ng just looking away before he really had it all the way in.
Just a devastating mistake, and then Heyman getting the ball back. That an ill-advised, ill-executed huck. And Boyd Flegel with the better read there. Into the end zone for Atkins. Raekwon letting the crowd know. It's almost like he was kind of waving goodbye to some Pittsburgh fans hanging out in the end zone there.
Oh, that's brutal.
Tristan Yarder has some work to do. This swing over the intended receiver, but Henry Ng there to save possession.
Safe hands for Henry Ng. Might be the reset he needs after that last touch.
Kelsey just feels like these possessions are getting harder and harder for Pittsburgh and Sabanur. What a grab there by Aiden Landis. Nice grab there by McGlynn. Landis. Front of the stack power cut there by Scott Heyman. Landis has separation. He's on the goal line. Flip to Peter Kotz. Pittsburgh is back within 2.
Oregon had a nice switch there, but then when Landis went online, no one went with him. Someone's got to drop. They didn't have adjustment. That was way too easy at the finish for Pittsburgh after all of that good containing defense.
One of the rare miscues that we've seen from the Oregon Ego defense. You saw the miscommunication there. No one really going with Landis when he went to that space, and just the cascading effects. That was a risky push pass. It was wet, it was wobbly, but it did get there.
And Oregon had good help defense. There was a response, but they're numerically outnumbered.
Tristan Yarder, Aiden Landis, Nicky Troilo, Henry Ng, and company. Oregon Fugue, having won its pre-quarterfinal just a few moments earlier. Cheering on Oregon Ego. Max Massey has the disc now for Ego. He swings to Kaplan. Junky defensive look here from Pittsburgh. What are you seeing here, Kelsey?
I've seen actually so much of this tournament, it's almost a diamond. Or what some teams might call a sponge bucket. It just absorbs and absorbs and forces you to go around the outside. But if you've got Micah Glass or Adkins on the field, do you care?
Micah Glass in the red zone now to Adkins. Important throw off the line there. Great defense there by Nsabanur. Micah Glass gets the disc back. Kaplan at the front of the stack. Swing to McNichols. He gives and goes. Glass finds Kaplan instead. Raekwon Adkins with the power cut.
Ng has the Micah Glass matchup.
Stall count rising. Hammer double helixing. It falls to the turf. Pittsburgh and Sabanur with a chance at a break, down by 2. Injury substitution. You saw the phenomenal dump defense there from Timothy Chango Gassett. He takes an injury substitution, and the steady O-line handler, William McGlynn, subs on here. I think the Pitt coaching staff thinking he could be a powerful part of this counterattack. The injury substitution complete. Players free to move. Tristan Yarder waiting to pick up the disc. Vertical stack here from Pittsburgh and Sabanur. Tight matchup defense from Oregon Ego. Troilo continues to Ing. Bounces back to Troilo. Dishy to Yarder. Pick called downfield, stops play.
Got punched in the face. And it, you okay? Hold on. Oh, God. Yeah. So you're actively bleeding, so you have to feel that.
Raekwon Atkins not happy about that one. Of course, that is in the rule book. If a player is bleeding, needs to get tended to. Can't be on the field of play while he's bleeding.
Everybody on pit, need a sub.
So,
yeah, you guys collide, or your other person. Yeah.
Julian Sant takes his place. And, oh, it wasn't a pick. It was just contact. Hanger from Yarder looking for Ing. He reads that one. And disc goes back because of a pick call.
These stoppages are so tough for an offense. It's hard to keep your energy up, especially when you've played as many points as Yarder, Heyman, and Ing have. And the defense keeps getting to reset.
Will Yarder continue to play hero ball? Or will the rest of the D-line offense come through? Troilo sending Ing. It's hanging. 3 defenders in the area. Off Ing's fingertips. The second attempt. He couldn't make the grab, but he makes a foul call now.
Some skepticism from Glass.
I felt hands like draped on my shoulder as I'm trying to go for it.
You want to? Okay, observer, you got his arm hooked as he's trying to go up. So, observer, it is a foul. Coming in here in 1. He's doing it from behind him. I saw the play very clearly. He described exactly what's happened.
So it turns out Glass did foul Ing, and Ing has the disc on the doorstep. He was here moments before and dropped a score. How will he respond now? Heyman floats it over the top. Aiden Landis has the grab. It's a 1-goal game, folks.
What a trust throw from Heyman. And just when it feels like Oregon has this locked up, sealed up, and tied with a bow, Pittsburgh punching back. 1-goal game. Wow, Ian. Just wow. What do you think of this Pittsburgh team?
And Sabanur's Stars battling to their final breath. So let's take another look at the foul. Raekwon Atkins going back on the field with some attention to his bleeding lip. And there's the foul that was upheld. Some contact there from Micah Glass. That'll be for the studio crew to break down in our post-game show. And gutsy decision there.
Complete
from
trust
Heyman
throw.
to Landis.
Oh. Is that a fatigue choice? Is that I just like end it now?
If you score, it's tied. Hard cut means nothing.
Trevor Smith giving instruction to Oregon's offense. Tristan Yarder getting set to pull for Pittsburgh's defense.
You called it. Every point, all the way through. Landis will be out there too. Interestingly enough, resting Heyman. So still going to get some fresh legs out there. Nope. Heyman out there too. Full entourage for Pittsburgh. All the big bodies.
Yarder's pull getting pushed out of bounds by the wind. Precious additional seconds to recover for the Pittsburgh Stars. as Max Massey brings this disc up to the brick mark. So, listening to PA announcer Steve Dunn, this is a game to 14. There was a horn a few minutes ago that indicated soft cap was going on. So if Oregon scores here, it's all over. Pittsburgh has to break to keep this game going. Junky defensive set from Insabanur. Patience so far from Oregon Ego. Disc in the hands of the sophomore Micah Glass. Adkins bleeding a few moments ago. Has some bandages around his lip. He's back out there. Massey to Glass. Glass trapped on the sideline.
With 4 defenders around him.
Ego content to swing and lose yardage and maintain possession.
I do like this look from Pitt. They're really forcing Oregon to go around the outside. Oregon not yet using legs to go through, but they're completely disconnected from their second tier of cutters.
Chandra Boyd-Flegel flips it to Massey.
And this is a game of patience. Do they go over the top? You see Glass looking, considering.
The rain has subsided, but it's still wet here at Redden Soccer Park in Verona, Wisconsin. The winner of this matchup gets North Carolina in the quarterfinals. Massey to Glass. Unleashes the crossfield hammer. No one near Raekwon Adkins. Massey back to Adkins. Glass to Kaplan. Pumps and resets to Massey. Every touch so important for the remainder of this contest. Massey. Glass.
The patience by this Oregon offense is so impressive.
Pittsburgh.
You know the tension's high. It's right here.
Pittsburgh has transitioned into person defense. Glass with the inside break. Kaplan has the disc, but it looks like Duncan may have called travel on Glass.
You're coming to me. My call was travel. Comes back.
Great quick ruling there from Jonna Hamaker.
What was your count? 6. So Collins.
Disc will be brought back into play at stall 6 in the hands of Micah Glass. Duncan on the mark.
And with this person defense, is it advantage Oregon? They've got so much speed in their handle set.
Just like that, Glass gets an up line. He is on the doorstep. Kaplan dancing in the area, gets the reset. Big swing to Boyd-Flegel. Not a sound you want to hear. Boyd-Flegel made the grab, but immediately grabbing his ankle after sustaining some contact. So Chandra Boyd-Flegel down with an apparent injury. Oregon on the doorstep. We will step aside and come back when the injury resolution arrives. Welcome back to Redden Soccer Park, Verona, Wisconsin, the site of the 2024 USA Ultimate D1 College Championships. This is game point for Oregon. We're in a capped situation. Chandra Boyd-Flegel took an injury after making that grab, and it's into the end zone. Micah Glass made the grab, but
in position. It's like, make a call. I can't make a call on what I didn't see.
Okay, what's your count over here?
She's focused on here. I'm supposed to be watching there, but I'm clear, but play restarted before I got out. Please wait for me to get out.
So Ben Horisberger coming onto the field with possession after Chandra Boyd-Flegel made the catch and took the injury substitution. No love lost there between Glass and Duncan.
Glass fired up, ready to go.
Horisberger inside. Double score comes through once again for Oregon Ego. Max Massey with his second goal of the contest, and Ego ends in Sabanur's season.
You can't count a single player out on this Oregon offense. All of them are in perfection in this last point from this Oregon, even against some incredible pressure. What a performance from both teams.
Michael Ing consoling his younger brother Henry. And it's all over but the handshakes now.
Ego putting on quite a performance. They will go on now to play North Carolina. Pittsburgh took the shot at North Carolina, was able to bring them down. This Oregon team now toppling Pittsburgh, will that give them the confidence they need to drop the #1 seed?
Oregon with one more break than Pittsburgh, one more clean hold, one fewer turnover. And here in the championship bracket, those are the margins between victory and defeat.
Look at the parity across this. Both teams executing at a really high level, creating opportunities, showcasing incredible height. Oregon may have a little bit of toughness going in. They've picked up a couple injuries, able to fight through them. But yeah, you're getting a look. So we're seeing Oregon against North Carolina. Brown had some trouble with Michigan, able to close it out, 15-12. Colorado will take on Grey Duck, Mama Bird Grey Duck there. Massachusetts and NC State still duking it out to see who goes up against Cal Poly Slow.
Zudisk still struggling to find its form. That performance yesterday raised a lot of questions in my mind. I'm thinking about the 5:30 round against Minnesota Grey Duck. If Minnesota Grey Duck can play like that against other competition, they can make themselves a finalist.
Showing a ceiling I don't think other teams thought they had, but they believed it. I talked to a couple of the Grey Duck players as a Minnesota wind chill coach. They were super pumped. Zudisk, yeah, got to show up.
Joined now by Micah Glass, the sophomore standout from Oregon Ego. Micah, a 14-12 victory over Pittsburgh and Sabanur. What's the dominant emotion going through your mind right now?
Just feeling like grateful and happy to play on like a team with people that love me, and like, yeah, I mean, it's an amazing feeling. I get to play with a bunch of amazing teammates, and we've got like a really special culture here, and I'm excited to keep playing for Ego for as long as I can.
You talk about that culture. This is a program that has missed nationals recently, has had to look itself in the mirror and reevaluate what's important. How do you define the culture of this group and how important that is to its success now that you've earned a quarterfinals berth?
Yeah, I think, we had a strong sophomore class that came in like after they missed nationals, and it was clear that the people that missed nationals were ready to do whatever it took to get back to this stage and like play at this level again. And I think we could really rally behind that, like being an underdog and trying to get the program back to what it's been in the past. And we have such an incredible alumni and coaching staff like helping us get there. So it really makes it pretty easy, but that's just been the goal since we got here. So
yeah, incredible performance. Micah, really loved the chemistry between you and Kaplan. Both of you sophomores turning on the Jets, really being difference makers there. What did you think about Kaplan's game?
he's an unbelievable player, and he just continues to grow. I get to be teammates with him on Rhino this year, and I could not be more excited. He's an unbelievable player, and his game just continues to grow. He does all the little things right. He's a fantastic defender, and he might be our best all-around player. And it's easy to play with a guy like that who's super selfless and does whatever it takes.
Mike, I'd love to keep asking you questions about your performance and how you felt about the battles against Duncan and everyone on Pittsburgh. But we do have to get ready for the next quarterfinal, as you do. Any quick thoughts on facing Darkside, the 3-time defending national champion?
Yeah, what an incredible opportunity to play a team that is unbelievably good, and I'm excited to see what we bring and just play a team of that caliber. So, yeah.
Mike, a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
Congratulations guys. And good luck in the quarters. Micah Glass and Oregon Ego ending Pittsburgh and Saba Nur's season 14-12. A look back at the highlights of this phenomenal contest. Henry Ing and Tristan Yarder did all they could to keep themselves in this one for Saba Nur, but Isaac Kaplan and Micah Glass too much to handle at the outcome.
A little bit of East Coast, West Coast, battle of the bigs here. We saw so many incredible athletic plays. Just big, gritty defenses, gorgeous shots from both teams. Of course, talking about Micah Glass there. The performance from Kaplan, but blows back and forth. Loved the grittiness of this Pittsburgh team to stay in it, but Oregon polished, poised, disciplined, able to lock it up and make it to the semis.
Coming up next on the showcase field here live on Ulti World, it's North Carolina Pleiades versus the winner of Carleton, Michigan. For Kelsey Percy and our entire crew, Ian Toner, thank you so much for joining us here on Ulti World.